Go.
Hello, my name is Bob Stewart. I'm a member of the British Parliament, but crucially, I'm also the chairman of the Kyrgyzstan all-party group in the Westminster Parliament here in London. This year, in October, we're going to celebrate 90 years since the birth of Ch.T.Айтматов. Ch.T.Айтматov is really a superb author who's done, well, he's known right the way across the world, and there are even streets named after him in Europe. Now, I've read some of his works, and the one I've most read, well, most recently, is Jamilia. I'm going to read a bit of it, because this is seriously good stuff. I know it was written in Kyrgyz, and I know it's a translation, but in translation it works. Let me give you a feel in English, and I'm sorry it's not in Kyrgyz. I don't remember how long I'd slept when I felt the straw rustle by my ear, and someone passed by like a wet wing, lightly brushing my shoulder. I opened my eyes. It was Jamilia. She'd come from the river in her cool, damp dress. She stopped, she glanced around anxiously, and sat down beside Daniya. Daniya, I've come. I came of my own accord, she said softly. All was silence. A bolt of lightning slid down the sky noiselessly. Are you cross? Are you very angry? Silence again. Then the faint splash of a clod of soil slipping into the water. It really isn't my fault, she whispered. Nor yours. Thunder rumbled far over the hills. Jamilia was plainly silhouetted in a flash of lightning. She glanced round and dropped down beside him, her shoulders heaving convulsively in his arms. She stretched out on the hay and pressed against him. A broken wind rushed in from the steppe, whirled the straw around, buffeted a dilapidated tent that stood outside the shed, and sped off like a crazy top down the road. Once again there came a dry crash of thunder breaking overhead, and blue flashes piercing the storm clouds. It was both terrifying and exciting. The storm was bearing down on us, the last storm of the summer. Now this book, these words, this passage shows a master wordsmith at work. This guy knows how to write, and his words can bear translation easily, because his description of Jamilia meeting her lover in the middle of a storm is superb. I look forward to celebrating 90 years of a great writer.
I'm reading an extract from a book called Farewell, Gulsari. The book is about a man called Tanabai who works on a collective farm and a horse called Gulsari. It is a very beautiful book. This short extract describes the experience of events on the collective farm through the eyes of the young horse who has just become one of the horses working there. The horses were quiet. Then Gulsari heard a long, distant howl. He'd never heard a wolf howl before. For an instant, everything within him stopped and froze. The herd started, tensed, listened. Everything was very still. The snow kept falling, clinging to Gulsari's raised head with a rustling sound. Where was the master? How they needed him then. If only they could hear his voice or breathe in the smoky smell of his coat. But he was not there. Gulsari rolled his eyes and went numb with fear. A shadow slid by, slinking over the snow in the darkness. Gulsari jumped backwards. The herd shied and was off, whinnying and neighing wildly. The horses thundered into the blackness of the night. No power on earth could have stopped them. They raced onwards, carrying one another along, like stones pouring down a mountain in a landslide. Gulsari understood nothing, but he rushed on in this mad, hot race. Suddenly a shot rang out, then another. The galloping horses heard their masters furious shouting. It was coming from the side, then it cut across, now it was coming from up front. They raced on to catch up with the persistent voice. The master was with them. He was galloping in front of them, risking a fall off a cliff at every step. His voice was weaker now, then became hoarse, but still he continued to shout, and they followed him, fleeing from the terror that pursued them. By dawn, Tanabai had led the herd back to the hollow. There the horses stopped. Steam rose from them in a thick cloud, their sides heaved. They still trembled from fright. Their hot lips snatched up clumps of snow. Tanabai too ate the snow. He squatted to scoop up cold white handfuls of it. Then he buried his face in his hands and stayed thus, motionless. Still the snow fell softly, melting on the horses' hot backs, rolling down their sides in dirty yellow drops. The deep snow melted. The earth was bared. It turned green, and Gulsari began filling out rapidly. The herd shedded then, their new coats gleamed, winter and hard times seemed unreal. But the man remembered. He remembered the cold and the nights filled with wolves howling. He remembered how numb he was in the saddle, biting his lips at times to keep from crying, warming his frozen hands and feet by a campfire. He remembered the ice in spring that locked the earth under a leaden crust. He remembered the weakest horses died, and how at his farm office, eyes downcast, he had signed the report stating his horses, and then exploding in a rage, banging his fist on the chairman's desk, and how he'd shouted, "Don't you look at me like that. I'm no Nazi. Where are the barns for the herds? Where's the fodder and the oats? Where's the salt? We've got nothing but the wind to hold us up. Is that how we're supposed to look after the farm? Look at the rags we're wearing. Look at our tents. Come and see how I live. We never even have enough bread. It was 100 times better in the trenches. And here you are looking at me as if I killed those horses with my own hands."